Hi everyone, welcome to Calmer Choices Community Breakfast. It's our first time live streaming an event, so thank you for joining us.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Boley, the Director of Program Services at Calmer Choice. And today we're going to start how we start all of our meetings and programs with something we call a stop and arrive. So I'll just invite you wherever you are, if you're sitting or standing, just to put everything aside. Settle in your seat. If it's comfortable for you, you might want to close the eyes or lower your gaze. And we usually start with the bell. And just taking a little bit deeper breath than usual. Noticing the feeling of the feet on the floor. Taking a moment to acknowledge what it took to get here this morning, all of the busyness possibly. And just take a moment to arrive here. Opening the eyes and coming back to the room. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce our host and longtime Business Alliance partner, Tony Shepley from Shepley Wood Products.
You all look very calm. We probably should do 2 housekeeping notes. Number 1, this is a perfect time to grab those cell phones and put them into silent mode so we don't get into the middle of somebody's thoughts. Number 2, how about this wonderful breakfast spread put on by Eastern Bank? No cholesterol either, guaranteed. So I'll never forget hearing about Calmer Choice. Long-time Calmer Choice board member Betsy Bowes shared the early vision of Calmer Choice with my wife Lorraine and me 11 years ago. It really struck home with us. I think we just experienced a moment of that just a moment ago. Calmer Choice came about as a response to a terrible crisis in our local school system. We had several teen suicides within a very short period of time. Winston Churchill said during World War II, never let a good crisis go to waste. History has shown that the greatest periods of innovation, change, and progress usually follow the absolute most challenging times. I think that's what Mr. Churchill meant. So we were very intrigued, Lorraine and I, hearing from Betsy, the idea of giving tools to kids to deal with their emotions and with all the pressures around them. Mindfulness, breathing, focus, and the ability to settle one's brain are just so important, especially in our current age of overstimulation. Our general manager at Shepley, who I work with every day, has a great saying. He says, it's not about how you feel, it's about how you choose to act on how you feel. That's a very powerful thing. Try that with your kids next time. You're not a bad kid. You're a great kid. You just made a bad decision. Very different than maybe how some of us were brought up. So Calmer Choice, to me, is exactly that saying. It's really the opportunity for all of us to make choices without just giving in, or reacting out of emotion, or feeling victimized by how we react to that emotion. Calmer choice gives us the means to slow things down and to process thoughtfully. Here's my thought for this morning. For the past year and a half, we have all been on the edge of our seats with COVID. Worrying. Every one of us has felt the impact of COVID-19 in our own ways. A lot of the effects of COVID are completely beyond our control. COVID has given us plenty of tragic loss. It's also presented us with a worldwide crisis. However, COVID's given us an opportunity. It's given us an opportunity to measure ourselves, to measure our reactions, to measure the way we deal with these situations that are often beyond our control. It's given us the chance to say it's not just how I feel, it's how I act on how I feel. What's worse than a crisis? A crisis from which we don't learn moving forward. It's sort of in the same spirit with which Fiona Jensen and other dedicated parents chose to put the teen crisis of 11 years ago to work. We have that opportunity in front of us right now. In neither case, in COVID's case, in Calmer Choice's case, can we manage everything. We simply have to identify the things that we can manage, and we have to identify the place at which we start. We have to make calmer choices. We have to make thoughtful progress. As tempting as it may be to think that Calmer Choice is all about kids, I say that mindfulness and identifying and using emotional tools is really all about all of us. Oh, by the way, Calmer Choice has no age limits and no expiration date. So, today is a day of congratulations. First, big congratulations to Emily Smalley for getting through the whole selection process. And Emily, those big shoes, you will have no problem filling those big shoes quite well. Congratulations to Fiona Jensen. This is one of those I had no idea moments. 11 years ago, you had no idea we'd be sitting here today. Look at who you brought together. So thank you for the inspiration, the momentum, the success, and now, congratulations on getting to step back and savor some of what you've accomplished, because I'm sure you've been at it so fast and so furious that you haven't had a lot of time to reflect, but now you get that. Fiona and Emily each get to open up the next chapter of their lives, and that's really very exciting. Fiona, you got Calmer Choice off the runway, into the air, and to great heights. And Emily, you get to pilot it even higher. So this is pretty exciting. Look at this room. I mean, we're filled with community leaders. We're filled with influencers. Thank you for coming today to support and celebrate Calmer Choice. Thank you for spreading the word that there is something very good going on here. And thank you for never letting a good crisis go to waste. Now, I haven't seen Senator Julian Cyr. Is he here? Oh, good. I get the pleasure of introducing our state senator, Julian Cyr, who represents the Cape and Islands. It is our pleasure to have him here, and can we get a drum roll?
Thank you, Tony. Good morning. And this is wonderful, first of all, that we can all be together. This is something that we haven't been able to do for quite a while. So Fiona, thank you for pulling us together. And this is not the penultimate farewell to Fiona, but we do want to really recognize not only Fiona, but what Calmer Choice has been. And I really think about the issues that are on our plate today. And mental health is really highest on that list. When you look at the issues that we are debating and trying to figure out on Beacon Hill, that I'm working on, that Kip's working on, that Tim's working on, that Steve's working on, mental health has really risen to the top of that list, is most urgent. And why is that? Well, we have over 700 people every day in Massachusetts who are in crisis, who are waiting in our emergency departments for a psychiatric inpatient bed. We have thousands and thousands of young people who can't get the mental health treatment that they need. We have people who are in crisis, who were in crisis before the pandemic, but who really, in this most challenging of circumstances, now need mental health care and access more than ever. And so we're trying to figure out how do we scramble and do some pretty big things across Massachusetts, and I'm really proud to be leading that effort in the Senate. Senate President Karen Spilka has prioritized mental health as her transformation of mental health as her #1 personal priority. The Senate took up and passed the Mental Health ABC Act last session, actually in February 2020. We didn't get something over the House because of the chaos that ensued in those months following. But we are going to be taking up a mental health bill actually in quite short order. I think you're going to see action in the next several months and weeks, right, not years here. And that's something I'm really proud to be involved in and leading. But here on Cape Cod, Fiona and Calmer Choice and all of you really saw the need long before folks in Beacon Hill were talking about this. And I just really am grateful for that vision, that tenacity, that compassion, that patience, that doggedness, so that here in Cape Cod, we've got a heck of a lot more conversation about, education about, and support and services, particularly for some of the most vulnerable people in our community, for younger people, for students. And that's all happening because of Calmer Choice, and that's all happening because of Fiona. And that is absolutely, look, we've got a long way to go, right? And it really gives us a leg up, but it gives us a leg up here. And when you think of the tools and factors that allow people to be resilient, especially younger people to be resilient, mental health and the services that Calmer Choice does and provides is just absolutely essential. I know that in my own life, right, that outpatient behavioral health care, the therapy has allowed me to manage my anxiety and depression and do things I never dreamed I could, including having the fancy job I get to have today. But this is right, this is what's possible when we invest in programs and services like what Calmer Choice does, right? This is what's possible. And so I'm just so grateful and honored to be here. And I know my colleagues who are here, Tim Whalen is here, Kip Diggs is here, Steve Zaros is here, and for the members of the legislative delegation who are not here, Sarah Peak, Dave Vieira, Dylan Fernandez, Jim Moran, all of us so admire and appreciate Calmer Choice and admire and appreciate Fiona. So to that end, we have something a little special. So the Massachusetts legislature is the oldest continuing serving legislative body in the world. Fortunately, the Brits had a few civil wars, if you know British history, so it allows us to get to the front of the line here in Massachusetts. And so we have at least in years, so we have a citation. This is part of the record that is part of the Massachusetts legislature. We're the oldest continuing serving legislative bodies in the world. And Fiona, now you're in it. So this is a citation on Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You need to know that the Massachusetts legislature hereby sends congratulations to Fiona Jensen in recognition of 11 years of service as founder and chief executive officer of Calmer Choice and tireless work providing mindfulness-based prevention programs to students and adults to increase resilience and well-being and to reduce harmful behaviors. And be it further known, the Massachusetts Senate extends specialists for continued success. The citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate, attested to in a copy thereof. Signed by Karen Spilker, President of the Senate, attested to by Michael D. Hurley, Clerk of the Senate, and offered by Julian Cyr, State Senator, on this day, September 28th, 2000. I'd like to introduce John Fulone. Where's John? He's coming. Coming in the back.
Good morning, everyone. I'm John Fulone, Chair of the Board at Commerce Choice. I'm going to echo what everybody else said. I can't believe everybody's up and out at 7:30 and happy about it. But they are. Clearly, we're turning the corner here. First of all, I'd like to recognize Tony Shepley, your years of support. We really appreciate what you do for us, and thank you for all you do for the Cape and community. I'd also like to thank Eastern Bank. I don't know if there's anybody here from Eastern Bank, but thank you for writing the check and funding the breakfast. And certainly Senator Cyr and our Cape delegation. They worked really hard to get some very important funding for this program. So please give them a round of applause and encourage them to keep that up. There are some really important people in the room today, aside from the delegation. And they are the board members and the staff that actually deliver the programs that Commerce Choice is all about. So if there's a board member in the room, I'd just like you to please stand for 30 seconds and get the well-deserved recognition that you deserve. Thank you. And more importantly, anyone who volunteers or works at Commerce Choice, please stand up and be recognized. Thank you very much. I have said on many occasions, what Commerce Choice does changes and saves lives. And I believe that. That's a big statement, but I've seen it. And it's just an amazing organization. And for 11 years later to be where we are, I keep telling Fiona, if there was ever a time for her to retire, this is it. Because the organization is in the best possible position it has been in the 11 years of its existence, thanks to her and all the people that just stood up. We are poised to do great things and continue to do great things. We are so blessed that Emily made it through the selection process, and it was a process. I rival any corporation to match the selection process that this organization went through. That's how serious we are about replacing Fiona with someone of quality, and we certainly did that. This is not Fiona's farewell. That's coming at the end of October, and we all would love to see you there as well. It'll be probably a little more fun. Between now and then, we've got lots of work to do. After that, we've got lots of work to do, but thank you all for your support. It's an amazing organization. It saves and changes lives, and that's what we do. We, not me. That's what Commerce Choice does. So we're going to hear a little bit more about that now as I bring up Ms. Fiona Jensen.
Wow. So I was here last night putting this like fancy pants sign on, and I was like, holy moly. This is pretty significant. So my name is Fiona Jensen, and I am the outgoing Chief Executive Officer of Karma Choice. And I am just really deeply moved by all of you being here, and so grateful for the opportunity. And it's interesting, I look around the room and there's some young people who aren't so young anymore, 12 years ago, who were at Barnesville High School when all of this craziness started. And I think I was supposed to introduce the video. All right, we're gonna do a video after I talk. Sorry. Here's a video. But anyway, I'm gonna keep going. So, you know, this really started as a grassroots community-based organization, and it was a group of ragtag parents and community members who looked around at our kids who were struggling and wanted to do something. Well, David's not so ragtag. The rest of us were ragtag. David was the only one who I knew that owned a suit and a tie. Thank you, David. So anyways, I'm so getting off topic, sorry. So yeah, 2009, things were falling apart in the Barnstable district, that is, and other places, and it was so bad. The suicide rate on the Cape is, and it still is, twice as high for young people as anywhere else in Massachusetts. And there have been 2 young men who killed themselves, and there had been a murder, and I just felt like we needed to do something for these kids. And I did not ask permission. I think if I'd asked permission, I was probably be told that I needed to do research or something, and I just knew that something had to happen, so I knew the secretary at Barnesville High School, and she let me in the door, and that's how we started. We raised $5,000 the first year. We've raised over $6 million today, which is pretty remarkable, thanks to a lot of you. But if it really weren't for the community that rose up around us and these children who are now in their late 20s, none of us would be here today. It was really a community effort. And you know, people say, oh, well, thanks to Fiona Jensen. Well, I had the crazy idea, and my husband in the back of the room, who always says yes, because happy wife, happy life, said yes. And you know, we just go off. So off topic, sorry, Julia. Anyway, so we went about creating this nonprofit, and we didn't know what we were getting into, and here we are now, oh my God, like 11, 12 years later, and we've worked with 38,000 students, teachers, community members. We've done research with Tufts University. Dr. Barnes is in the room. She also happened to be my across-the-hall friend at Tufts. That's how we met each other many years ago. Anyway, we've worked with Tufts, Yale, MIT. We did the first ever brain scan study with young people in the world. To this day, still in the world. I'm sure that MIT will repeat that at some point, but which really placed mindfulness smack dab in the middle of the importance of the mental health crisis with kids. So we created our own curriculum thanks to some amazing program people. I did not do that. I just kept throwing the keys over the fence and raising the money, and I had this incredible team of people that were way smarter than I am that helped create our curriculum. And then, you know, all of a sudden it was like, you know what, I think it's time. I think this, Tony Shepley actually said to me 6 months ago, you want to leave the party? Well, the party's still going. And I thought, you know what, I do. And John is right. We are poised like to really grow. The pandemic for us was a weird gift in that we are now, you know, teaching programs all over the country, and you know, Paula and Forrest and Patty and Steph, we've worked with all kinds of people over the last year that we could never have worked with if we were not doing things online. So so it's time for new leadership, and I was really great during the time that I was there. And then I'm like, really, if you want like a road race organized, like I am the one. If you want a strategic plan and spreadsheets and organization, maybe not so much. So the beauty is that even though the selection committee had to sort of knock me upside the head a couple of times because it was a painful process trying to figure out who was going to replace me. In the end, I was so grateful. So Laura, Sue, and David sitting in front of me spent hours interviewing and creating questions and doing the fancy pants stuff that you really need to do to replace a really important position. And in the end, it was Emily. And I said to Emily this morning, I need to be able to say more than I love you, Emily, and I'm so happy it's you. So I said, Emily started with us as a development director, which is super important for nonprofits because those are the people that raise money, right? So she knows how to raise money. She then became our chief operating officer because she can understand profit and loss statements and she can create strategic plans and she knows how to make a dashboard. No idea how to make a dashboard. The board loves the dashboard. And she can grow this. She has the ability to grow capacity and scale an organization like ours. So I am like super excited to get into my van with my husband and travel. And we have a baby coming in December, which puts a little kink in it because we were going to leave in December, but we have to wait now for the baby to show up, and then we're going to go. And then at some point, I have to recreate myself for the next chapter of my life. And I am so excited to be handing this baby off to my friend and colleague, Emily Smalley, and for the amazing team of people at Commer Choice that will keep the plane in the air and do amazing, great things. So, Emily, I think we're going to run the film, because I did that backwards, and then we'll bring Emily up.
I'm not speaking, I'm just running the film. But
Choice started by accident. My daughter and her friends were struggling in school, and there was a lot of like tragedies happening, and it was actually after the funeral that I looked around the room at Lily and her friends, and I thought, oh my God, like these kids are so stressed out.
Time out.
It's coming. It's coming.
This is where you take a breath.
I love the Commer.
Commer Choice started by accident. My daughter and her friends were struggling in school, and there was a lot of like tragedies happening, and it was actually after a funeral that I looked around the room at Lily and her friends, and I thought, oh my God, like these kids are so stressed out. And as a woman in long-term recovery, I knew that my mindfulness practice was pivotal for me and my mental health. And I thought, God, there's got to be a way that I can like help these kids. How hard could it be to put one program in one school? And that was really all I was going to do. Raise money for that one program. It was great. And then all of a sudden we started getting calls from other schools.
My children were doing Commer Choice as part of an after-school activity, and I had no idea that my children could be so calm and peaceful in a space. And I said, this is a program that I want to bring to our students.
Don't hurt other people.
It helps reduce their anxiety, helps increase their focus, increases their resilience, which are the things that we think kids need right now.
Commer Choice works both in schools and in community settings. In our schools, we offer programming for as young as preschool and up through middle school.
Mindfulness for kids is essential to teach them the foundation of social emotional intelligence, coping with stress, with anxiety. It gives them that foundation to move throughout their lives in a healthy and mindful way.
We have learned that a person can, with thought and focus, change how their brain works and even the size of different parts of the brain. So what we're doing here is building a capacity that builds upon itself and gets greater and greater over time for a person to have coping skills, to have the ability to be resilient in stressful situations.
I just noticed that I felt more settled.
Staff members attended a Calmer Choice for Educators program, and so the language was part of our school culture.
How would we meet the mind?
I love the Calmer Choice model where the teachers stayed in the classroom and they were part of that teaching. So after a test or before a test or different opportunities that produce stress for kids, that they would implement some of the tools that the kids had been exposed to.
Educators across the country can take our courses and receive their own graduate credit for taking them.
My first reaction was, not interested, don't have time in my day to teach this, not my responsibility. And I quickly discovered it made a world of difference with my kids.
It was those most dysregulated kids who made the greatest gains.
The concept of this being primary prevention has always been very appealing to me because you don't know who's in trouble. You don't know who's struggling.
We need Calmer Choice in our schools because without strategies for students to take care of their own social emotional needs, learning can't take place. It's really pretty simple.
We started getting calls from all over the country saying, bring this to us, we need this in our setting. We thought, how are we going to build this out to be able to reach as many people that need us and serve them all? And thankfully, we've really been able to do that through our introduction of virtual programming.
I'm going to go into now talking about how our brain and mindfulness kind of interact.
We didn't know that you could teach mindfulness on Zoom, and it's really impactful.
They made a great pivot towards the Zoom and the virtual, and I don't think a lot of people could have done that, but they did it.
We were able to bring Calmer Choice into people's homes for the first time.
The parts of the brain by using.
We're doing partnerships right now with DA's offices and first responders and nurses that are on the front lines of the healthcare situation that we're in. Really trying our best to meet the needs of the community where they are.
I do a lot of work with police departments and fire departments and district attorney's offices. And we try to get them to understand what trauma is, and then we start to think about that, and then they say, well, what can we do about it? And then we start to talk to them about, mindfulness.
With mindfulness, first responders have the ability to cope with the stressors of the traumatic event, and mindfulness gives you that great coping skill to live in the present moment, decrease that fight or flight on demand. It also fosters kindness, compassion, and understanding in their work as well.
If you can be compassionate and kind to yourself, you're not going to hurt yourself.
I believe mindfulness is almost at the highest level of importance for someone in recovery.
Calmer Choice is here, right, to engage the community in mindfulness, teach about mindfulness, and also back it up with the evidence.
We're really looking at Calmer Choice as a program that needs to increase its access to anyone who needs us.
I'm super excited to see where we're headed. Come so far, and have so far to go.
I think mindfulness has the power to change the trajectory of someone's life.
So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our new incoming CEO, Emily Smalley. That was unexpected, and I'm very grateful. Thank you so much. I feel so moved to have all of you here today to help celebrate Calmer Choice and also really to be the cheerleaders for what comes next for all of us. And I'm honored and just deeply grateful that the board has chosen me to take on this incredible mission, and that I have such an incredible team around to help me do that. Just wanted to take a quick second just to kind of introduce myself. I've said a couple times today that I'm a great number two, and I like to really be behind the scenes, and so this is new for me to really to talk about myself in this way. And I think it's important that for me personally that everyone understand sort of my personal commitment to this mission and what brought me to Calmer Choice.
So I want to take us back to 2016. I had about a 15-year career in Boston nonprofits, and I had it all, it seemed. I was a single mom, kind of killing it. Like, I had a house and a great job and 2 beautiful kids, and I was also drinking excessively and very heavily to cope with the amount of anxiety and stress that I was under. And on my way to a big fundraising meeting, I'd been up for 3 days almost in a row preparing for a $300,000 ask to a donor. I had a medical crisis in the car on the way to the meeting, and a colleague got me off into the emergency room, and they said, you need to change your life. Like, you can't live this way anymore, or you won't live. And so over the course of the next 6 months, a lot of things changed for me. I got sober, which was the first order of business that I needed to take care of in order to take care of my family. The second one, that I left the stressful job, and I sold my house, and I took some time off to really reconnect with who I was and what I wanted in the future. And that led me to Calmer Choice. I got connected to Fiona Jensen by happenstance and made a phone call to her from the parking lot at South Shore Plaza, and she said, I'm looking for a development person. I said, listen, I'm a mess right now. Like, I'll give you like 4 hours a day. Like, that's kind of all I can do. Can you take me for that? I said, yeah, we'll work it out. It'll be great. And as Fiona says to most things in the world, that's the throwing the keys over the fence. And so I started at Calmer Choice, and my life changed from that moment. Not even a month later, I met my incredibly wonderful partner, who's here somewhere in the back supporting me today. My kids really started to blossom in a new community. I really finally found that home I've been looking for all those years. And I'm just so honored to then be able to carry on that legacy into this new phase of Calmer Choice. And I'm just really grateful to everyone around me for having the confidence that I can do it, despite the fact that into a few details sort of about Calmer Choice. I know there's some people in the room who know us well, and there are others here today who are really hearing about Calmer Choice formally for the first time. And so I want to make sure that any questions are answered and that people have information about what we're going to be looking forward to in the future. So as Fiona mentioned, we were founded in 2010. Our mission is cultivating awareness, living mindfully, and enhancing resilience. It's an acronym. We provide evidence-based mindfulness programs and trainings in schools and for the larger community. As Fiona mentioned, we've served more than 38,000 people since we started in 2010. That number continues to grow, and our impact has been studied by some pretty prestigious institutions. Also, as others have mentioned, 2010 was a time of real crisis here on Cape Cod. The opioid use was skyrocketing. The suicide rates were the highest in Massachusetts here on the Cape. Students were being bullied, people were feeling stressed, and it felt like there was no real answer on what comes next. And so Fiona responded to this crisis, as we've heard, by creating Calmer Choice. What we've noticed, though, is that right now, it's not just the community in crisis, really the entire world is in crisis right now. And I don't think there's a person in this room who hasn't experienced firsthand some of the profound stress and struggle that has come from the pandemic. Either for our own selves and our families or for those that we serve. Just some statistics that we found particularly important here. There's a 334% spike in intentional self-harm among teens. As Senator Cyr mentioned, the mental health visits to the emergency rooms are at an all-time high. Adults are reporting increased stress naturally, and 52% of parents with children aged 5 to 7 are actually drinking more to cope with that stress. So I know I've experienced firsthand in my family the crisis of the pandemic and people needing help and really not being able to find it despite being one of the most resourced networks around. And so what does Calmer Choice do about this? So really, the world is in crisis. The stage has been set back in 2010 here on Cape Cod and continues to get more challenging as time goes on, particularly given the pandemic. So what does Calmer Choice do about this? So we really provide a lifeline for people through mindfulness. And so I think it's just important to kind of center ourselves around, like, what is mindfulness? You hear it all the time. It's kind of a buzzword in the news now. It's something that's more readily acceptable. But for us at Calmer Choice, our definition is paying attention on purpose, moment by moment, to both internal and external experiences with kindness and curiosity towards yourself and others. And when you do this over time, it can increase your resilience, it can lower your stress and anxiety, it can increase your well-being, increase your mood and satisfaction, and increase your self-acceptance and the kindness that you display towards yourself and others. So our approach is three-pronged, and we've been doing all three of these approaches through the pandemic, thankfully because of our ability to go virtual with mindfulness. So in schools, our model is primary prevention. No child is left behind. As Dr. Fader mentioned in our video, it's hard to know which kid is the most dysregulated. I was a really dysregulated kid showing up in elementary school, but I had great grades and everything seemed to kind of just be not along. But I was really struggling at the time and didn't have access to programs like Calmer Choice. We provide trauma-informed mindfulness, so our staff are trained in trauma-informed mindfulness care. This is a really important point that we're seeing in our school partners right now as the levels of trauma are higher and higher. And what's showing up in the classroom are kids who really are experiencing sort of deep, deep trauma and are not having the skills, they're not having the support at home necessarily to be able to regulate that. We provide age-appropriate programming, so we have programs for kids as little as preschool and pre-K all the way up through middle school. We have 8-week programs that are 16 lessons, and we can do them in person or virtually at your school. Last year it was really tough to get in to do the in-person programming, and so we adopted some virtual programming options where we would push into your classroom or we would have some pre-recorded content for you. This year some of the schools are opening their doors to us, which is really wonderful for us to be able to have access to the kids in front of us to be able to provide the programming. We also offer tremendous resources and support for educators because we know that unless you put the oxygen mask on yourself, you're not going to be able to provide that support to your students. And so we run courses for educators to help prepare them to show up in their classrooms and face what's coming. In the community, we serve young adults all the way up to no expiration date, I think is the phrase that was used. And they're customized by needs. So you heard us mention first responders and other groups that we've been working with. Really, we try to take the need that we're hearing from the community and be able to respond with something that's going to provide the most resources we can for your group. We have various entry points. This is new for us. Our community programs used to just be 8 weeks. So if you wanted to sign up and learn, you had to commit to the 8 weeks. Now we offer daily practice sessions. We offer half an hour to 1 hour workshops. We have a 4-week course that we offer, in addition to our 8-week course. And we offer a year-long training course to teach people to become Calmer Choice instructors or teach you to run this in your own community or school. Our results have been wonderful and studied over the years. I think what's been most transformative for us this year is to hear from educators, to hear from people that take our community programs about the impact that we've had on their lives. We've been told that we're a lifeline this year. We're helping people make better decisions. We're improving their social, emotional health. We're helping them think clearer and be kinder and have more gratitude for what they have in front of them. These are the things that matter on the ground to us. Certainly we want people to be able to have resources and tools to help them in a moment of stress, but overall, if we can improve the quality of someone's life in this way, that's the most meaningful for us. So the future of Calmer Choice, this is what I've been hired to do. I'm a little scared and a little nervous about the shoes I have to fill, but Fiona has really set an incredible vision for us as an organization, and I'm just so fortunate to be able to take over the reins from her. So our real goal over the next 10 years of Calmer Choice is to make mindfulness accessible for all. We intend to do this through something called the Calmer Choice Institute. This is part of our strategic plan as an organization, something that we've been working hard on the past 3 years and that we'll be beginning again this January, our next process of planning the future of Calmer Choice. In our schools, we've created some new business models for how we serve our students. The $60 value per student of our program only costs the schools $12 per student. We raise the remaining 80% of the funds to make sure that the schools can be provided what they need. We have options for in-person, virtual, pre-recorded content. It's very high touch. We have you assigned to a Calmer Choice staff member who's going to be able to help work with you to make sure that your school is really ingrained in the mindfulness culture. And we offer PDPs and graduate credit for educators as well. In the community, we offer various times, days. We've tried early morning, we've tried late at night, we've tried middle of the day. We're willing to try anything that might work for what people need. We can customize your course for your particular need and population. We always have scholarships and payment plans available for people to make mindfulness affordable. And we have access to an online learning platform that really was part of our strategic plan for way in the future, and that had to get accelerated during the pandemic. So we have ways for anyone to access mindfulness literally in your pajamas and on your couch, you can do it. We also are going to be really bolstering our training efforts to build our talent pool here at Commerce Choice, to train others to bring Commerce Choice to your community. We invest heavily in professional development for our staff to make sure that everyone's up to date on educational and cultural priorities. We're undergoing an effort right now called AWARE. It's Awakening with Anti-Racist Education, and this is an organizational effort that started last fall that's really helping us become really aware of our diversity inclusion efforts, equality efforts. And we're continuing ongoing engagements with higher ed institutions. We just had an intern with us from Tufts University this summer who was incredible at helping us really understand the impact of our online mindfulness programs. So we are as robust as we can be in our visioning, and it's with everyone in this room's support and help that's going to help us carry out this mission together. I think it's important to talk about a little bit how we fit as a nonprofit in the landscape of nonprofits that are out there. Many know us as really a school-based program, which our roots were certainly in the schools, and a large portion of our population are school-based programs serving students. But we also can help you with your workplace wellness. You know, what's happening in your company and how stressed are your employees? And could you offer an 8-week course or even a 1-hour workshop to your staff? We've done this over the pandemic with organizations like Verizon that really helped bring us to mindfulness to that community. The recovery community is an area where we're growing and expanding our programs. You know, as a person in long-term recovery myself, this is a really important priority for me personally. We're a prevention program in the schools. We can work with you to help cater some professional development opportunities for your educators or your staff. And really, we like to consider ourselves sort of the local experts in mindfulness. Primarily because we're right here in your backyard. We're not an app. We're not something that you can kind of quickly download. Those are wonderful and they have a purpose. But we're right here on Cape Cod, able to serve your community. We're a high-touch, high-results part of the solution to the mental health crisis that everyone spoke about today. And I'm just incredibly honored to be here to help lead this charge, and also grateful to all of you for helping to support the effort. So how can you partner with Commerce Choice? We get this a lot. We want you to take a class. We want you to sign up, learn about mindfulness and how it can really help change your life. Let us help support your community that you're working with, that you're trying to serve. We've done that a lot over the past year, really be able to help support other community-based organizations to bring mindfulness to their team. You can always be one of those 80% who help us keep the program costs low for schools. You know, we are a nonprofit. We fundraise through events and individuals and grants, and certainly are always grateful for any additional support. And then come celebrate with us. I mean, we're an organization that runs a number of community events throughout the year. We have a Falmouth Road Race team, and we do the Tour de Barnstable, and we have these wonderful events like today where we always use volunteers. So there's something for everyone with mindfulness and with Commerce Choice, and we would invite all of you to participate in any way that feels meaningful to you. Thank you all for being here. I'm happy to take questions if people have any questions at all about Commerce Choice or the services we offer.
One of those 80%, you can.
Excellent, thank you, sir, thank you. Just want to mention a few things too, if there are no questions, thank you. On your tables, you're going to see a couple of different bits of material here. There's one that kind of gives a newsletter overview of Commerce Choice, but there's also that really fun gala we were talking about, the All You Need Is Love Gala is right here. Everyone should have an invitation to that. We'd love to see you there. We also have on your table these wonderful mindfulness bags. And these were created by Verizon employees for us to be able to provide to anyone who takes one of our courses. We've been using them in our parent-child class to much success. So there are extra bags available in the front if you're interested. You can grab one on your way out. Any other questions? No? Great.
Great, thank you all so much for coming. Wonderful to see you. Thank you. Hannah's gonna come say goodbye. So I just want to recognize two people. So the District Attorney O'Keefe is sitting over here. And I just have to say that for years, he's the gentleman that came up to me and said, can you work with the little kids? Because by the time they're in my courtroom, it's too late. So Michael O'Keefe has given us money year after year after year. So Michael, I want to say thank you to you. And Julian Cyr has earmarked in the budget, I don't understand earmarks, but $50,000 for the last 4 years. Thanks to the Cape Cod delegate, that's money that comes into us. So there's other funders in the room, I don't want to leave people out, but I definitely wanted to just point out those two because it's a big deal that we get money from the state and also from you, Michael. So thanks.
Feel free to stay and have another bite to eat and mingle with friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you all at a future Commerce Choice event. Thanks.
Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a nice day.